Good morning. We are going to start because we have a superb presentation and a panel. And so I want to make sure we give maximum time to the group to present and share with us this morning. My name is Dormy Ailing. I'm the CEO of the Rick Hansen Foundation and a very appreciative member of the DWC Steering Committee. And what I would like to do is just introduce today's session, which is moving forward the future of supported employment. You can check the bios of all of our speakers out in the program or check the QR code in the agenda. And right now I'm going to turn it over to Kyla, who's going to be moderating today's session. So enjoy.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Our panel discussion is titled Moving Forward, the Future of Supported Employment. I'm going to tell you a bit about who we are and what we do. If we could go to the next slide. We are from Easter Seals, Nova Scotia, New Leaf Enterprises Supported Employment Program. Folks access our programs for pre-employment skill building, resume building, job search facilitation, interview practice, the reverse job fair, and on-site job coaching. We will go on site with a participant at their new employment opportunity if they require that support, to assist with training, understanding workplace culture, and to advocate alongside the individual for any accommodation that may be needed. There is careful consideration to not over-support individuals as they progress with their career. Today, we will be discussing employment experiences from the perspective of folks who identify as having a disability and their employment facilitators and job coaches. We need to understand what works and how to know when our supported employment practices are outdated. I would like to introduce Matt Walsh. He has participated in the Special Olympics for 17 years in a variety of different sports and is currently employed with Mastermind Toys. Matt continually advocates for equitable employment for both himself and his peers. He thinks it is important for other Canadians to learn about the New Leaf Reverse Job Fair and understand the push for equity within employment. This is Darren Prasad. He has successfully completed his construction engineer certificate at the College of Anguilla in Turks and Caicos Islands, and is currently employed by Mr. Lube, a mechanic shop, and Events East Group, and is an incredibly dedicated employee. Darren's motivation is clear as he continually advocates for himself and others to live equitably, not only within their careers, but in every aspect of their life. Next up is Christine Riley. She successfully completed the Achieve program through the Nova Scotia Community College. At the New Leaf Reverse Job Fair in 2021, Christine connected with Delectable Desserts, a local bakery in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And she has been working there ever since. This was a great match as she loves to bake and continues to refine her skills. She wants to share her story and hopes that it will help others who have disabilities find meaningful employment. Justin Aweka has an incredible amount of experience and success working in this field for the last 18 years. For the last 3 years, he has been an employment facilitator and job coach at Easter Seals, Nova Scotia. Justin's focus has been to build the Next Step program supporting youth who identify as having disabilities. Prepare and find community employment, as well as orchestrating the Supported Employment Collective in Nova Scotia.
And this is Kyla Gagne. She's been working with individuals who identify as having a disability for 20 years. She has led individual programming and case management and is dedicated to advocating alongside the people she supports. The last 9 years of Kyla's career, she has been working for Easter Seals, Nova Scotia, first as skills instructor, then as employment facilitator and job coach. Kyla has successfully designed and implemented the New Leaf Reverse Job Fair.
Thank you, Matt. So just wanted to go through a little bit about everyone so we have a little bit of background. Before we get into the questions, I will be explaining two projects so you have context of what it is the panelists are speaking to: the Supported Employment Collective and the Reverse Job Fair. The Supported Employment Collective was created with the idea of helping individuals and employment programs within the community gain more access to education and employment opportunities. There are so many supported employment programs now as the needed push for equitable employment has been getting stronger. With the sheer number of organizations involved locally, we all felt siloed and often offering the same services to the same demographics. Although the collective is at its beginning stages, it has successfully connected 10 supported employment providers within Halifax Regional Municipality in Nova Scotia, with precise focus and goals for more range of access to employment services for the individuals we support. Some of these goals include collaborative efforts in finding equity-driven employment for the people we support, sharing resources and education materials, and outreach support throughout the province. We want individuals being supported by one organization to have direct and seamless access to the services provided by all organizations involved in the Supported Employment Collective. The New Leaf Reverse Job Fair is an innovative job fair that gives the job seekers their own booth to highlight their skills and experience. The job seekers hand out their business cards, including their photo, contact information, and a QR code that links directly to their resume, and have casual interviews with inclusive employers. Through the New Leaf Reverse Job Fair, our mission is to make the process as accessible as possible for the job seekers searching for inclusive employment, as well as for local employers continually committed to building inclusive workplace culture. We have heard from the individuals that we support that the standard job fair is not the most accessible. The process can be overwhelming without a clear direction. The Reverse Job Fair was designed to remove those barriers. From the beginning, we wanted as many organizations to be involved as possible. This past job fair, we had participation from 7 organizations. So this is a little bit of an overview. We've held 4 job fairs so far since fall of 2021. The first one was held at our main office in Burnside, Nova Scotia. There were 12 job seekers, 10 employers. 50% of the people we support were employed from this job fair. Could go to the next slide. In spring of 2022, we had 16 job seekers held in the same office, 11 employers, again, 50% success rate with presentation boards and PowerPoint presentations. And fall 2022, we jumped up to 28 job seekers as we grew, 12 employers, 47% employed, held at a recreation center. So we knew we were going to grow this time, so we had to get a bigger space. We had a table display. This is when we brought the business cards with the QR codes. I think a couple of the slides are backwards. Can you go to the next one? Thank you. Reverse Job Fair in fall 2023. We just had this in October. We had 37 job seekers, 17 employers held at the recreation center with this table displays, QR codes. We don't have enough data yet as for employment rate. It just happened last month. So. We can go. Okay, we're going to, now that we have a little bit of background, it gives a lot of context to what we're speaking about today. First off, I would like to pose a question to the group. What are the barriers you have faced trying to find employment? And what barriers have you faced once you have been employed? Matt, if you could start us off.
I have faced a wide variety of barriers trying to find employment due to non-inclusive employers not giving me the opportunity because of my disability, which has made finding a job be more difficult. I feel that the employers have been more hesitant to give me the opportunity because they see my disability first instead of seeing me. Without the support of my job coaches, I found going through the interview process and not having the mock interview practice made me feel nervous and not as confident. When I first started at Subway, I had a few customers who didn't want to be served by someone with a disability, but my manager didn't feel it was right to have the customers who would judge me because she knew it was important for me and everyone to be gainfully employed in an inclusive and supportive workplace. It made me feel good knowing that my employer was willing to stick up for me, and I knew she was an accommodating employer. I feel barriers are going to come up in any job. You will always face them, whether that's understanding a task or how easily a task is done. But I know I can always ask for accommodations if I need help.
That's great. Thank you, Matt. Darren.
Finding for my barriers, I would say that finding the opportunity to suit my qualifications and the barrier to access that same interview when you go into the job interview, and how you're gonna speak to the employer and what you're going to say. And you have to, so when you are employed, you must be focused on one task at the time. So if if you've been taken away from that task, you will forget what you have to do when you go back, and it will be hard for you or for I to remember what you did. So the barriers are finding the opportunities and the qualifications, and focus on one thing at a time and stop rushing it before you make a mistake, and then it will be hard for you to get back on your normal track.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Christine, can you share your experience?
A barrier trying to figure out what information to put on a resume. Understanding jobs can apply for what skills they're looking for compared to the skills I have. It's difficult to figure out to apply for a job. I didn't know exactly what to apply for. Trying to find the right answers when employees ask me questions during a job interview. A barrier trying to find employment would be when people didn't want to hire me because they thought I would not be able to do those jobs. A barrier during employment would not have enough time to learn. I also had some awesome experiences. This shows once someone gives me a chance and extra time to learn, they realize I can do the job just like anyone else. When I receive funding through community services, I can only make a set amount of money from my job before they start giving me less money. It's not fair.
Thank you, Christine. Justin, what barriers do you see for the people that we support?
As a job coach, I feel there's two different barriers that we really come up against often. It's education and opportunity. On the employer side for education, a lot of them have a misconception of what it is to have a disability. They don't recognize their staff might already have a disability and they're managing just fine. So they all kind of have that horrible idea that's been portrayed through the media of what a disability looks like. So then there comes that fear. I don't know how to help that person. It's too scary. They're not going to be able to do the job. So they just kind of put a cap on what they feel that person can do and not even willing to invite them into that space. On the other side, for education is the people that we support. A lot of times in the school system, they're not even exposed to the idea of what a resume is or volunteer experience, or you can have a job, you can do these things. You can, if you love to draw, you could be an artist. So not giving that opportunity, they may not even realize that could be something for them in the future. So then it leads into the second part of if you never cross that path of getting exposed to that, you will never get the opportunity. The community never sees that they can go there. The employers never feel that these guys can achieve those goals. So it just kind of crosses everybody out of it. So I think those are the two biggest barriers we're facing right now.
Thank you, Justin. All right, next. What supports and accommodations have helped the most to limit those barriers? Darian, if you could start.
My support was my family, my parents. Easter Sears, Nova Scotia, Building Futures was the one who was there to help me to get the interview, to tell me that I can do it. It was my job coach, Justin and Kyla. They were the one who set up the interview, tell me that I'll just be honest, answer the questions carefully, and just be yourself. My boss was a next supportive person in my job site. He helped me out to do the work properly, and I was very content with that. And I know that I was well supported at that aspect in the job. And I was put with a trainee to help me to train well in that job, to know that I won't be getting any injuries at the job. So I would know what to do at that time when I go to work. So I'm very well confident that if I can do it now, I can do it later.
That's great. Extra one-on-one training time is necessary sometimes, right? Yeah, perfect. Okay, Christine.
I went to Reachability to do some leadership courses. This made me feel more confident in myself. My job coaches at the Next Step program helped me with job skills. The reverse job fair is where I found my job at the bakery. The owners of the bakery I work at, called Delectable Desserts, made sure to work with me and support me I required. I was able to have my job coaches with me on my shifts for as long as I needed. My job coaches helped me learn the task at my own pace, like learning recipes, baking skills, where ingredients and equipment are, and learning the regular cash register system. Another example of a combination is when I wanted to learn how to pipe icings onto cake. They taught me some piping skills at work, but also sent me home with a piping bag and icing so I could practice on paper. Piping is very difficult for anyone to do. It takes a lot of time and practice.
That's great. Thank you, Christine. All right, Matt.
Having a job coach prepare by doing mock interviews, coming with me to the interview, and being there on the first day helps me understand the training process. Seeing me as a person and getting to know my personality and seeing me for my abilities instead of my disabilities. I may be autistic, but I am Matt, and that's why I want employers to understand. I would like to share with you how my managers and coworkers have supported me in the workplace. When I first started at Mastermind Toys, my sole job was to greet the customers and demonstrate the toys. One night I was at work and I was minding my own business, waiting for customers to come in, when my coworker, Deleska, unexpectedly asked me if I wanted to learn cash. At first, I was a bit hesitant, but for the next customer, I walked over and watched over her shoulder as she checked out the next customer through. After that, I felt I was ready to take on that responsibility. And my coworker told my manager, Lucy, and thought that I should learn cash. And she agreed and took Deleska's advice into account. And she trained me on cash. After the new year, my other manager, Cindy, wanted to see me continue to grow my skills on cash. She carefully watched over my shoulder, When I first started working on cash, I had two coworkers, Alia and Alyssa, both knew counting change was my strong suit. So they would help me count out the change so I didn't feel as nervous doing it. Each time they would do it, I would watch them and my nerves would start to dissipate as I knew if I can do it, so can I. Having coworkers willing to look past my abilities has allowed me to learn new skills and take on more responsibility. I'm grateful to have an amazing relationship between my employer, coworkers, and job coaches who both chose to see my potential instead of focusing on the difference in abilities.
Thank you, Matt. All right, Justin, in your experience, what seems to limit limit these barriers the most?
I found employers, as Matt talked about, seeing the person first has greatly helped quite a bit. Anybody can have a job. It just depends how you want to do it. A lot of the times we're used to doing everything a certain way. So that change can be a little bit difficult. So a job can still be done of, I need to move this box from this table to the floor. So for me, that might be me just picking up and putting it down. For Matt, for example, it might be him picking up the box and then he pushes it down the ramp and then it gets to the floor. For Darren, he might just throw it down there. So we just have to change how we think about the job getting done. It's gonna get done. A and B will be the same, but it might be a million different things in between, but it can still get done. Rethinking a work shift, it doesn't always have to be 8 hours or 4 hours. Maybe it's 2 hours in the morning and then an hour in the afternoon, accommodating in those different manners. Another big way that it's worked is we had an employer and a client that he really, really enjoyed facing. That was just what he liked to do, which is just turning the products out so you knew what they were. They had a merchandising job where it was stocking shelves, but half the employees would just throw things on there. So she created a position for him that was just facing. That was it. So we would come behind everybody and do that. So looking at what that person really likes to do and figuring out how you can fit that in instead of just trying to continually just put people in this box that we have created. That's the normal thing to do.
Thank you, Justin. All right, my next question for the group. What kind of support has not helped you or has not supported you in the way that you needed? Matt.
Having rude customers has not helped me, but it taught me to develop good communication skills. I learned to de-escalate any issues that happen between me and the customer. My parents and grandmother have always taught me to never judge anyone because of their background. And when I first started working, I remained respectful of everyone I worked with because I knew we all work together as a team and should always support each other. I had an experience where I started learning I was still learning cash, but I felt confident enough to count out the cash for the customer. But before I could do so, the coworker who normally helps me came over and abruptly took over the interaction and counted out the change for the customer. It made me feel like my coworker was overprotective of me learning cash. But after speaking with my coworker who came to me we came to an understanding that if I needed help, I would ask for it, letting the situation play out. And I took it as a good learning experience, knowing that in the future, if I am being supported in a way that isn't helpful, I can speak with my coworker and come up with a better plan.
Thank you, Matt. All right, Christine, what are your thoughts?
In the past, people saw me struggle and they took over tasks without allowing me to learn it on my own. An example would this be when I had a cleaning position at a recreation center. When I was mopping a large area, I would miss sometimes spots, and my coworkers would take over instead of helping me learn or giving me time to fix the mistake. I had a coworker once tell me to go faster cracking eggs. When I went faster, I got more shells in the eggs. I need time to do the job properly. One time I was working on cash. A job coach tried to help me, but it got confusing. I was trying to count a change for a customer. The job coach took over without asking me if I needed help. I did not need the help. I wanted to learn how to do it on my own. These situations make me feel small and not able to actually get experience that I need to learn for myself.
That's great. Thank you, Christine. All right, Darren, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts would be in that same situation, it would be that if I'm doing my job correctly, I don't want any of my coworkers intervene me in what I am doing. If I am doing the job correctly, I will ask for help. But if I'm not doing the job correctly, just ask me or come up to me and tell me, hey, Darren, you're not doing the job correctly, instead of grabbing the phone away from me or grabbing the board away from me and not letting me fail and do the job back again so I can realize that I was doing the job wrong instead of right. I'm a kind of person who like to do my job correctly, fail first, and then do the job correctly next. So I'm a kind of person who like to succeed, not fail all the time. So if I don't do my job correctly, I won't be that person who I want to be in the job, to know that when I come to work, I know how to do my job correctly, and I don't like to be my job taken away from me. So that will make me feel incompetent.
Thank you for sharing, Darren. All right, Justin, what kind of supports do you see that don't seem to help?
They really kind of nailed it on the head there about wanting to help. And I know everyone in this room, we all just want to help like right away. And taking away that opportunity kind of just doesn't give you guys a chance to fail. And that's the best time to learn. I'm going to go on the other side of it. I'm going to say the mass amount of employment programs that have been created and the money just shoved into that. They're so driven by funding and metrics that everybody's just, it created a competition, not like they didn't mean to do it, but it's created that. Everybody's kind of fighting over the same level of people because they all need to get those people that can work independently in the community. So there's a lot of people that are getting left behind the cracks. I know, all of us know, tons of people that can go into the work field that may need a respite worker or just some kind of extra added support. So there's that. There's, as we talked about, the silo-ness. So since everyone's fighting over the same amount of things, same resources, it's a competition. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing because I can't let you get one leg up on me, because if you do, then I'm going to lose my funding. So to tear that down and get us to work together would be really great, which is what we're trying to do with the SEC, and utilize those resources more.
Thank you, Justin. All right. Christine, I'd like you to go first. What do you see for the future of supported employment?
The opportunity to have a big career, to go back to school, more job coaches, more opportunities. If I were to go back to school, I would need a better support system from the school. Sometimes there are lots of opportunities for jobs for people with disabilities. This is great. It gives me a better access to interviews and being hired. Will they let me learn the opportunity the way I need to, so I can go as far as I can go? Not always. I would like employers to let me learn how to bake without having to go to a university or a college to build that career. I would be able to learn at my own pace and work better learning hands-on.
Thank you, Christine. Darren, can you share your thoughts for the future of supported employment?
I think that job coaches or disability coaches supposed to be or should be in big organization like schools, different companies to help those persons to go through the day and help them if they need to be helped. The the job coaches supposed to help the clients to get jobs to suit their qualifications and needs. And they more this so there have to be more jobs like jobs for disability persons and people with brain injury, because those two are the most important kinds of diseases or disabilities in the world right now, because people will take that for granted. And with job coaches, they will help those people to get the job to suit them and help them succeed in life, and help them to find inclusive employers, meaning help them to find an employer who can help them during the day and know how to treat them and respect all of their needs.
Okay, thank you, Darren. All right, Justin, what do you see for the future of supported employment?
Ideally, with the collective that we have started going now, it would help us realize when the workshops or whatever we're teaching or doing becomes outdated, so we don't constantly stick with the same old stuff. A lot of the workshops that we used to run would just be, we sit in a class in this kind of format and start teaching things. We realized that wasn't working too much, so we've switched it to emulate real world experiences. When we teach something about money skills, we're now running through the whole thing like you move to a city. What do you need? You need a bank account. What do you use it for? Why do you have different accounts? What does the money go to? Why does it even exist? So trying to mirror what's really happening in the real world. Utilizing the resources. If one organization has a commercial kitchen and another organization has a wood shop, clients could freely flow between the two to boost whatever skills it is they want to work on. Ideally, we would exist in schools. Like all this stuff, everything that we do should be taught, exposure in elementary, and then every day up through. Because if you have to go there, we might as well teach you something that's going to be useful instead of just sitting in class, maybe doing recycling, which it bothers me immensely. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to let Matt finish this because he has some great words. So
I have many friends that have disabilities that don't have the opportunity to have a job like me and my other panel members do. I would like to see them gainfully obtain meaningful employment so they can understand a work-life balance and be a part of the community. I have been under the mindset, no matter your race, religion, disability, gender, or sexuality, everyone should have the opportunity of having employment. In the future, I would like to see the job coaches and employers in the province of Nova Scotia be more connected in communication and share the jobs they have in their areas. Currently, I know I can go to my job coaches and get help with resume support, mock interview practice, and interview support, and helping me with the training process. But let's picture for a moment that the job coaches at any supported employment company didn't exist. And let's pretend like all the businesses in Canada instead had their own job coaches. That means anyone can use those job coaches, whether you have a disability or not. And let's say I go to the job coach at Mastermind Toys, and they would be able to help anyone tailor their resume and cover letter to that company. And they would be there during the mock interview support and be there during the interview process and help train anyone that is hired, and would be there if you needed any support in the future. They could support anyone, whether you have a disability or not, I feel this should be accommodation that should be made available at any business in Canada or for the world for that matter.
Thank you, Matt. All right, our final question. Darren, if you could start us off here, what was the new Leaf Reverse job fair like for you?
The newly reversed job fair was my first job fair experience. To me, it feels like a job interview when the employees come up to me, talk to me, ask me different questions. It was well phrased. The well phrased and well contented, and they ask me questions what I can understand. And I think that that gave me more motivation, knowing that I can do it if I go into a job interview, because I feel comfortable now that I have a job and I know I did it in the past, and I can did it and I can do it again. So if I ever go to a job fair, I know what I have to do, and I know I have to be honest with them and tell them the truth that I have experience in so and so. So I know when I get that job, I'll be happy knowing that I am doing this every day of my life.
That's great. Thank you, Darren. Christine, could you share your thoughts about the new Leaf Reverse job fair?
It was a fun and lovely experiment. I got a beautiful job out of it called Delectable Desserts. The job fair was a lot of better for me than other job fairs. It was not crowded or overwhelming. I had made more creative expressions to show who I am and what skills I have. I know at the reverse job fair, all the employers and participants are offered accommodations. This makes me less nervous in conversation. I also support knowing that all the other job seekers have disabilities too. This makes me feel like I'm not alone and I'm included.
All right, thank you, Christine. Darren, could you share your thoughts? Oh, sorry. Matt.
Going to regular job fairs, I would feel nervous and not as confident because I felt like I would be talked over. I wouldn't have a fair chance and didn't feel the employers were trying to be inclusive. I really enjoyed participating in the newly reversed job fair, being put in the driver's seat and having one-on-one time with each employer. I felt more confident with all the practice and knowing that the employers attending was looking for inclusivity, which was great. I think anyone can benefit from the experience of having a reverse job fair. I did receive an employment opportunity, but due to COVID restrictions, it fell through. I sought out new employment and found an amazing opportunity at Mastermind Toys, which I am very happy to say I've held for a year. I am extremely thankful for my managers, Lucy and Cindy, for allowing me to keep growing my skills and for my coworkers to continue supporting me in my growth at Mastermind Toys. I am extremely thankful for Justin and Kyla and Carlton, who couldn't be here today, for continuing to help me understand who I am and where I fit in within the employment sector, and know they will always support me in my future goals.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Justin, what are your thoughts about the reverse job fair?
I feel it was a big step forward in inclusive hiring practices. One, I feel it was a big shift in the power dynamic. As we all know, we were all 15 at one time, 16 going into our first interview, let alone putting an application in. I know I was shaking like a leaf, and it is terrifying. So to be able to change that dynamic where you're in a space that is displaying everything about you, where you want to work, the hours you want to work, the type of work you want to do, and all the employer has to do is come up, it makes it a lot easier to have that conversation. And for these guys, it made it a lot more of their space. Like they were running the show. Employers that came, we had a lot of returning employers, which was great. So that just means, they realize that inclusivity is the only way to go. It was a good way to be introduced to that for the new ones that came with them. You realize that it's not that scary to create that environment at work. We say accommodation as a big word, but really that could just mean putting a chair at a cash register so somebody can do the job. It's all the same. This, as Matt said, it could really work for anybody. It gives you that actual time to sit and speak with the employer instead of just being rushed. A lot of the job fairs now, it's a booth and they're just telling you to go online. So it kind of makes it foolish to even show up when they're just going to tell you to go sit in front of a screen, which if you have a disability, trying to navigate that area on your own it's just as difficult. So giving these guys a better opportunity to get involved in that world. Yeah, so I do want to just say thank you for Kyla for creating that. And hopefully it becomes the norm for everything, ideally.
Thank you, Justin. And I would like to note that it does work well now, but at some point, hopefully we don't need these types of systems. Hopefully this is just, everything just works the same for everybody and it's inclusive for everyone. Yeah. All right, next slide, please. Does anybody have any questions for us?
Apologies, we only have one mic, so we're going to have to figure this out.
I just wanted to first just thank Christine, Darren, and Matt. We recognize with a big panel like this, there's not time to applaud for all your brilliant comments. So I hope you don't misunderstand our silence is not interest. Your comments were just fantastic. So many brilliant ones that we wanted to applaud, but we're like, well, then we have to applaud everything. It'll take forever. I just want to go back to a comment Justin made. I know it wasn't really part of the presentation, but you kind of referenced the squeeze that's being put on the employment system. I don't know a whole lot about what's going on in Nova Scotia, but it sounds a little bit like what's going on in Ontario. We were in the middle of a transformation that is really putting the squeeze on providers, basically more work for less money. There's no other way to explain it. And we can see already how it is people that are already furthest from the labor market and really need that help. I agree with Kyla, it'd be wonderful if we don't need it, but the people furthest from the labor market do need the providers that understand them and understand disability and believe in it like you do. And I guess this is the first I've actually heard a mention of what you said at this entire conference. I don't know. There's other sessions I didn't attend, so maybe it was discussed, but I think we're really missing something. We need more of a national dialogue on what's going on across Canada, because we're feeling pretty isolated, even just as people who support people with disabilities in employment, because not everybody does. So we're like isolated in our own province, but we're really isolated nationally and feeling quite alone. Like, doesn't anyone see that we're being squeezed out of existence and other providers are dropping this population because it doesn't pay the bills? And we're doing it because it's mission-based, but it doesn't pay the bills. So just kind of a plea that hopefully we can get this dialogue and recognize that none of these conference sessions will matter if there's no one that's working with the individuals.
That was great. Like, I got nothing to say to that. Personally, I kind of operate that I want to burn it all down because it does not work. It worked for the people that built it for that time, but now it doesn't suit anybody anymore. And the isolation is brutal because then it just amplifies the burnout on the staff that just have pure love to want to help. And it's just demoralizing for the communities that we're trying to help. So yeah, I guess like with just try and talk to the other organizations as much as you can. Even the hello goes a long way because that's how it started for us. It was like, oh, hey, are you guys doing this? Are you guys tired too? So just starting that we found that really, really helped in alleviating some of the stress. But yeah, a lot of what's built now needs to kind of be passed away.
All right. I would like to congratulate Oh, you guys working in the job.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of you for working in a job.
I do when you really more.
I think we should be more a model.
No, I think we did more.
I think we should be more.
No. The more.
Oh, I think we should see more of this model.
I have to do good.
I have two questions.
Do you know how to either organizing
Do you know if other organizations
and either
in Easter Seals
not doing this
are doing this?
and this is going to
And the second question,
depending on the disability.
depending on the disability,
What kind of accommodation do you have?
depending on the disability, what kind of accommodations do you offer?
I.e.,
i.e.,
depending on the job,
depending on the job,
do you offer anything? Do you offer the employer?
do you offer the employer
Adaptive technology
adaptive technology
of any kind?
of any kind?
And the other thing is, what any other support,
And the other thing is there any other supports
like a
like attendant care?
and how do you make an agreement with the employer?
And how do you make
Agreement
an agreement with the
to
employer
do all this.
to do all that?
Those are some very large questions.
Yeah,
And I absolutely love them. Okay, so the first question, let me just back up a little bit. Are we the only ones doing this? Well, the point of everything that we're trying to do is so that we aren't the only ones doing this. There are a lot of supported employment programs, at least within Nova Scotia. We can only speak to our province. But because there's so many programs, pre-employment, like learning skills, and also out in the community job coaching, there was a lot of disconnect between all of these organizations. So there are quite a few within our communities, at least Halifax Regional Municipality. The second question, as for how it works.
Easter Seals.
As a whole, nationwide. As far as I know, there are some employment programs across across Canada. I'm not quite certain if there's any that are doing any supported employment collective work or the types of job fairs that we have. Each province is its own organization. They're run very differently. They have very different programs based on the needs of the province that they're in. So the needs in Nova Scotia are going to be a lot more different than the needs in BC or Ontario or Manitoba, what have you. So to answer your question, I would say not a lot of the same is nationwide for Easter Seals as a whole. And personally can't speak to Easter Seals nationally as a whole either. Okay. And as for your second question, as for assistive technologies and everything like that, we do have some local organizations that we always go to. Now, Easter Seals, Nova Scotia, we don't provide assistive technology and things like that, but there are programs in our communities that we can go to. Say if we're supporting an individual that needs these technologies in the workplace, we go to them and we work as a unit to use the funding that they have to provide those supports. And as for speaking with employers, you know, we first of all speak with the person that is getting that job and ask them how they want to ask for their accommodations. And we will have that conversation alongside them with the employer. I think that's our main focus. Does that answer your questions? Okay, thank you so much. I think we're out of time for questions. Thank you so much, everybody. We enjoyed. What's that? Yes, absolutely. You can come find us. I think the next slide has our contact information if you don't have it at. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Look at that. Yes. Yes. Yes, you should absolutely take a bow. Thank you so much to the entire panel. That was fantastic.